This is a Republic Notice. It's September 2014. The title of this Republic Notice, Decree Judgment. This decree judgment comes painstakingly. It comes painstakingly because I have been posting videos since August of 2012. And I have offered something called a decree. And some people have written me, and some people have sent in money orders for a decree, a written decree. Now, I looked at this, and I anticipated this, and this written decree is some very, very sacred knowledge, the written. But so is my verbal videos. My verbal videos, you won't find any verbal decree of liberation videos talking about the most important thing, the Constitution, which is the Holy Covenant. You won't find this, my videos, put out by nobody to this level. This level of understanding is very rare. This level of trying to put forth education is very rare. And that is why I feel as though, really, after listening to my videos, you should have pretty much scaled down all your information incarceration. You are decreed by my judgment to be incarcerated by information. You're under information incarceration by MK Ultra. Your enemies said keep the monkeys busy by just letting them have access to information and incarcerate them. Because guess what? They still won't have the mind for liberation. They still won't have the mental acumen or the mental fire and soul decree for liberation. So give them all the information they want. Let them sit in front of that keyboard MK Ultra all day, sucking up this, sucking up that. Ancient truth of their self, this and that. The ancient truth of their self they knew before, but they didn't stop them from going into slavery. You got all the information in the world, but you're still being shot. You still have 3 to 4 million in jail. You're still being shot, walk down the street. You're still being profiled by police. You still don't have adequate housing, education. And anybody can come to America and live better than you still. And you're still enslaved when you're in Hollywood and you got money. Divide and conquer. They allow some to get money, but they still conquer. And don't say they ain't conquered. If they under the Illuminati and they could kill them at the snap of the finger, they still conquered. So they still divided. So what? They give them a little bit more of their wealth to rub together. They still conquered, are conquered people. And they're the dumbest conquered part of us because they pay taxes they shouldn't be paying with the majority of their income after people are already sitting on their 14th. Now, this is a decree judgment. People looking for a written decree, you don't know what to do with the oral decree. I watched and listened 2 years, and I was looking for the fire. Those who had a soul decree built in. The fire for liberation. The fire to take this information about their Constitution and begin to get loud and to begin to start a wave of loudness about constitutional liberation and the Declaration of Independence. And the main ones who want the decree, I find my written decree, don't have enough soul decree to even replicate these rare and important videos. They still worried about their ego. Oh, she might get a little fame if I replicate her videos and put them up. They're not worried about their liberation. They worried about me getting a little fame. They're not worried about setting a fire to pour, setting some water, some holy water and some Holy Spirit on this fire that is waged against us and our children. Why? Because they not really the decree type. Because why? You have the oral decree in front of you. that was given to me to give to you by the kingdom, to see what you would do with that. And what have you done? You listened to it, and you still felt as though you had the luxury to jump around in information incarceration, your 21st century incarceration and slavehood is the computer, the 666 beast, that you sit and think you in so much freedom, downloading all this information, finding out who the next white rapper they trying to blow up, and finding out who doing this to who, and all this old other stuff. And the ones in Hollywood, just to let you know some of my pet peeves, I looked at this internet, and when I was on it, the rare times I go on it now, they kept putting a Smokey ad up, and I'm a Smokey fan, so they kept putting this Smokey ad with Barnes and Noble of his new album. Now, mind you, allegedly, and I said allegedly because you have to investigate it for yourself, Smokey Robinson told Claudette could she please take her names off the royalties of some of the songs they've written. And Claudette said, well, that was part of our marriage agreement, or that I had an equal right to him. And he's telling her, allegedly, would you please take your name off of for the royalties? But yet, he's going around so damn friendly with the world, talking about he gonna make 11 Motown classics over. But he didn't make the 11 Motown classics over with Paul Jr., which is an original Temptation son who sings just like his father, or David Ruffin Jr., but yet he can go and do it with this Elton John way over in Britain, and whoever this white girl is in Britain, and Malachi 2:11 cut off John Legend. Why would you make 11 classics over? Anyway, if it's a classic, you leave it alone. And see, this is how things get distorted. Before it's over with, Britons will be saying that they were the Motown. They'll look at this older Smokey and paste themselves to it, wipe out all the younger Miracles and Smokey, and say they the Motown. See, because that's why now you're drumming through information trying to find out truth, because you have no self-preservation. And I have to come down and look at this elder. I have to look at this elder because he's become extremely friendly with the world. And you notice all the Motown artists also never hardly gave back to Detroit. They never gave back. Now, they the Constitution, but they saying foreigners ain't do nothing and they pay taxes, and they think them paying taxes is enough to duck their head and turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to the total deterioration of Detroit, and to say they couldn't do no more than they did. Now, Smokey Robinson's niece also came out and said something like, you know, he don't want to pay my rent no more. It's $1,200 a month. And some people might say, especially these haters, well, pay your own rent. But this is Rosella Jones, his sister, daughter. Rosella Jones helped write Quiet Storm. My thing is, when you got money like Smokey Robinson, why would you pay for your relatives' rent when you can buy an apartment building and put your relatives in it? See, this is the silliness of wanting to be better than average black folks. It leads to a silliness, a real silliness. Why would you pay the rent when you can buy an apartment building? Blacks way poorer than Smokey have bought apartment buildings. Why pay her rent? You could buy the girl apartment building or buy apartment building for your homeless relatives. See, and this is the divide and conquer mentality of servant Babylon. If you were decreed in your soul, that means you have fire. You will be sick of all those in Hollywood by now. You will be sick of the internet. You will be regurgitating. You will be really burnt out if you were and had the fire of Jesus Christ decreed in your soul and your body. The internet now will begin to be making you actually mentally sick. to the point that you would find it easy to turn it off. This is all in the ashes of Babylon. And if I say I'm important enough for you to stop listening to all this other information and just sitting down there in information overload and incarceration and listen to me and then come and bring your mind to liberation, because that's all really you got time for. In truth, if you wasn't so MK Ultra, you would know that. And you can ask who I think I am. It doesn't matter, because however important I was, you didn't even recognize Jesus Christ when he rode in on a mule in 70 AD, because you was doing the same thing that you're doing now, following the world and Babylon. And therefore, Jesus Christ and his small band had to begin to look out for themselves. Meanwhile, you're being shot. And then you're running around in the 21st century talking about and bragging about being unarmed. How is it that in 1866, the Buffalo Soldiers knew to have arms? Do you think they were stupid enough 150 years ago to be holding their hands up towards demons, saying I'm unarmed? Yet, our babies are out there holding their hands up in front of demons talking about I'm unarmed. Why? Because the men are deserters. They are deserters. This is the decree judgment. These boys grew up in a desert of black men. They always find it easier to give their manhood to someone who ain't never invest in their ass and ain't care about their ass. And they deserted their sons. And their sons are getting shot at 17 and 18, running around talking about I'm unarmed. To demons. To demons. They wasn't even saying, black men wasn't even saying they was unarmed in the 1700s. They didn't even say they was unarmed in the 1800s. How you think this evil done built up by us thinking we can duck our heads, and we think 150 years later we can walk around talking about we unarmed and expect not to get shot? That's a calling saying shoot me. When you say you unarmed, you're begging to be shot. But you're so MK Ultra, you don't know no better. You want to believe you're not at war. You think you can escape in cyberspace and the latest rap and the latest clothing and the latest this and the latest that, and by arguing with each other. But yet, many of you going to walk out your door after you get off your cyber MK Ultra and you ain't going to make it back home. And a lot of you are forfeiting your whole cosmic purpose, because you know what? You're serving another God. You're serving a cyberspace God. You're committing adultery and idolatry towards the living God. And though Babylon may not be able to hold you accountable, and they can't blame you for nothing, the kingdom damn sure can. And they will hold you accountable. A lot of your souls are now being cosmically evaluated of whether or not they should remain in existence. Now, as far as your money orders, I may hold on to them or send them back. I may hold on to them a little longer to see if you're not dead. If you're not dead and you wake up and show some soul decree, a fire of liberation, and stop masturbating in information incarceration like a 21st century MK Ultra slave. Like Harriet Tubman said, she could have freed a lot more if they understood they were slaves. Okay? This is Mary Omni from the House of King David. Shalom.